Hey, Natalie.
I was not unmuted. Sorry, I've said welcome to everybody and I haven't unmuted myself. So here I go. Let me say that again. Welcome, 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 everybody. I thought I was getting
Hi.
onto that. I thought I wasn't going to do that again. And once again, I had myself unmuted. So I'm muted. So welcome, 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 Carol Sue. Weather check.
25C.
Okay, wow. All right, I'm 10.
Oh, you're cold.
You know what? It's not too bad today. It's interesting though because I was listening to the radio this morning. You know, last week we had really bad storms. Well, they came back again on the weekend, and just in the outer suburbs of Melbourne, there's like 140 houses, like pretty much destroyed. I think trees. There's a suburb, couple of suburbs that won't have power for a month. So it's been crazy here. So the cold is the least of my problems. There we go. All right. So greetings, Anita from San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Anita. Welcome, everybody else. If anyone else wants to pop where they are into the chat box, so you might be able to connect with some long lost friends that you haven't seen for a long time. All right. We're all coming in. Welcome, Julia, Claudia, Cheryl, Linda. I've missed Felice again because I was muted before. Anita, good to see you there. Michelle, good to see you. And Brenda, also lovely to see you in person. And Martha too. Peggy, now, is it your first time here with me? I think it might be. Yes, okay, Martha, first time. Right, welcome. Thank you for joining class today. And those of you who've been with me either before or a number of times before, I really appreciate you coming back. That's terrific. All right. So I think those that were coming in and were queued to come in are in already. So I'm going to start sharing my slides. And here we go. There it is. Okay. So this is the class today. This used to be a HIPS class. We've moved my classes around a little bit this week just so the timings can suit people that they didn't necessarily suit before, because my classes are at different times throughout the day. So today we are doing Free Your Feet. So hopefully that's the class that you were looking for when you clicked onto class today. I keep wanting to say this morning, I'm sorry. Today, so wherever it is, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is. All right, the Free Your Feet class. So this is a little bit about me for those of you who haven't seen me before. I'm Natalie W, because I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning here on Monday morning, just to give you a bit of perspective on why I'm all over the place with times. There's two of us, Natalie's both of us in Melbourne, Australia, so that's why I have the W there. I've been teaching some form of movement since 2001. So my first specialty was yoga, but that has morphed all over the place. I've had a very, very strong interest in how the body moves and why. I'm one of those why people. And feet have been a huge interest for me. For me, the feet are the foundations of your entire body. So what's going on there in your feet are going to have some sort of effect on the rest of your body. So we really need to start looking after them and getting them mobile, or keeping them mobile maybe, and keeping them strong and healthy, which is what we'll be doing in class today. So we'll be doing some simple exercises. They won't necessarily be easy for you. They might be really challenging. All of the starting ones that I'm doing today will be standing. So I'll be standing. So whether you like a mat or just on your floor, they can be done seated. Some of them will be maybe not as effective, but you can do everything seated, which is why I have a chair here as well. So if it's hard for you to stand for any periods of time, you can modify so you can do them sitting as well. So grab a chair if you need that, ideally without sides to it, but it doesn't matter too much in this class. Now, my mission here, why I'm with Get Set Up, is because I really love to share all of the learnings that I've done over the years and to help empower you to be curious about your own body and to learn how it can be strong and healthy and can stay that way throughout the rest of your life. A little bit of housekeeping for Get Set Up. So we learn from each other here at Get Set Up. So ideally you'd have your camera turned on so you can literally learn from each other by watching what the others are doing, especially if I'm doing something you're thinking, I'm not quite sure, I can't get into that. You might be able to see somebody else doing a variation of the movement that I'm doing and get some ideas from that. But if you're not comfortable with your camera on for whatever reason, that's perfectly fine as well. If you find that you're getting a lot out of the class today and you'd like to do it again, you're more than welcome to request a recording of the session. And to do that, all you need to do is email help@getsetup.io. Now, this class is also live streaming, so people can join in that way. The best way, however, to participate is to join us by registering for the class on our website. And that way you can interact a little bit more fully. I'm quite happy for you to unmute yourself if you're here and ask me any questions that you might have. You might need a bit of clarification on something. Maybe you can't see something that I'm doing. So feel free to do that. You can also type any questions into the chat box if you prefer not to unmute yourself or for some reason can't do that. I'd love to help you out with those questions. We have Franklin as a technical assistant with us today. So if you have issues technically, please type those into the chat box and hopefully he can help you out with those. And also let me know if I've missed a question that's on the screen. And then finally, for this one, Get Set Up, we're not paid to promote any specific product. So I'm not selling anything to you while we're here. The items that I'll be using, you can find things around your home and I'll mention those in just a moment. But finally, for the housekeeping, please check with your doctor if you have any issues. I am what am I? I'm an exercise professional. I'm not a medical professional. So if there's anything that comes up for you medically or you're not too sure about any movement, please check with your doctor or your physical therapist before doing those movements. Finally, let me stop sharing. And then I'll come back and I'll pop myself on the big screen now just so you can see what I'm using as some tools. All right, I'm just spotlighting myself. Now, apart from a floor or a mat, I'm using a mat. You don't actually need a mat, but I'm using a mat so you can see my feet a bit better. We'll be using a small ball. So I have a little rubber ball here. A tennis ball, you could use a tennis ball. You could use a spiky ball. I know some of you have spiky balls. You could use, I use some dog toys sometimes. I've got lots of dog balls lying around the place. I've also been known to get a sock and scrunch it up into a ball shape. You won't be able to roll on that, but we will be standing on something of this type of size. It just fits into the palm of my hand. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit bigger, if it's smaller. Preferably like not a golf ball. It might be a little bit too hard to start off with some feet exercises. I'm also using a half dome. Now, most people don't have something like this lying around at home. It's just a foam dome. So as an alternative, I get a towel and I roll it up into a roll shape. And then we can use that, or you can roll your mat up. So they're the tools that we need. Do we have, hang on, 7 p.m. yesterday? Okay, yeah, Nancy, okay. All right, 7 p.m. is not too late. All right. So, yeah, if you have any questions before we begin, let me know now, please. Otherwise, we're going to start standing. All right, great. So come on up to standing. And I'm just going to drag this a little bit further forward. So this first bit, if you're seated, yeah, it'll be a little bit more challenging. Sorry, I'll just move the dog bit out of the way. Okay, right. But you can still play around with shifting the weight. But we want to be just standing up. Oh, ideally, bare feet. Right. In an ideal world, we're doing all of these with bare feet. If it's too cold or whatever, oh, it's only too cold where I am. It's probably in the middle of summer where you are. You could wear some socks as well, but it would be best to have bare feet. But you know what's right for you. So we're just going to stand, just take a stance, maybe even take a couple of steps. Just look around the room or look in front of you and take a couple of steps, marching on the spot, and then just stop and notice where your feet are or how your feet are. Right now, my feet, and as I've been working with this for a long, long time, are kind of about hip width apart-ish, right? And they're sort of pointing forward. Now, you know, we think this is an ideal, right, kind of position for them, because when you're bending your knees, they go forward and backwards. Your knees can go all around, but with the least stress, with a lot of things we do, they'll just go sort of forward and backwards like this. If your feet are turned out in any way, and my feet were habitually the right foot more out than the left, right, when I'm bending forward, it's just putting a little bit of extra torsion. There's nothing wrong with that, right, but it makes it a little bit easier to have them straight ahead. So just pay attention to where your feet are. And if it is okay to turn them so they're facing forward, like mine are right now, get them into that position, right? Maybe they'll turn right out like this and you can just turn them in a little bit. Perfect, doesn't matter, right? So we are where we are. Now, once you found that standing position and how your feet are, we're just simply going to shift our weight forward. Now I'm leaning my body weight forward, trying to keep my weight, my feet flat on the floor, and I'll feel that my toes start to really grip into the mat, and then I'm going to move my weight back so I'm more on my heels, and then I'll notice that my toes will lift off and I'm going to pressing them down a little bit, maybe to try not to fall over, and I can feel that right in my shins. And I'm going to do this a couple of times, shifting the weight onto the front of my feet, and then shifting the weight onto the back of my feet. Do another one. I've just noticed this is curled up, which is why I don't use a mat often in these classes. Forward and back. And then let's see if we can get the weight back more onto our heels. Lift all 10 of your toes up, spread them right on out. Keep the weight on the heels and down into the balls of the feet. See if you can keep your toes spread out and then replace them back down onto the floor. So we've got what we're looking at, a kind of a tripod stance. Your weight is on the heel and it's underneath the big toe, right underneath the little toe. So the ball of the foot, the weight is in 3 main places. You could lift your toes, you could press them down, you could do all of that. Right. The biggest bone in our body is our thigh bone. Right, so that's stacking up over 2 bones. There's 1 bone in your upper leg, 2 bones here, and in your feet there's about 26 bones, right? The biggest bone in your foot is your heel bone. So it makes more sense to have more weight in your heels just when you're standing, right? And then the other bones in the feet are able to move around a little bit more, or a lot more. They should be able to move around like we can move our hands. More of that later. All right, once we've found that stance, let's now move it and shift some of the weight. Let's see if we can lift our heels on up. Now, this is not a balance challenge, so you could hold onto a wall and then lower them slowly back down again, or hold onto a broomstick or something that works for you to help you balance. Lift on up and lower back as slowly as you can. And that might be really fast. It might be lift and drop, right? We're doing what we can. Lift and lower. And lift and lower, right? Now, with everything that we do, if you are only okay, I'm cleaning the top of my head, aren't I, to do a couple of repetitions of what we do, or maybe 1, and that's enough for you, that'll do, that's fine, right? If we're doing, say, 10, and you can do 10, perfect. Perfect either way. I'm going to do, say, 3 more of these and lower, right? This is going to be a foot strengthening exercise. And lower, and last one, and lower back down again, and pause, see how you're feeling on your feet, right? Where is the weight now? And then what we'll do now is go back, trying to lift the front of the foot, or the front of the foot off the mat, and then lower down, and try and lift up again, and lower. I'm not going to do as many of these, as this isn't as functional, and lower, but we want to be able to work. Lift and lower our feet all the way, and lift and lower. All right. Now, what would happen if we roll onto the outside edges of our feet? See how my big toes and the inside edge of my foot are coming up off the mat? I can feel a bit of a stretch right in the outside of my ankles or thereabouts. You might feel it somewhere different. And then I'm going to come on down flat, and I'm going to try and roll the inside of my edges down, the little toe side of my feet are trying to lift up off the mat and then back again. I'm going to roll to the outside edge, the little toe side, and then back down, and then the inside, and back down again. And can you see maybe how when I'm doing this, I'm going to do a few more, my thighs go further apart from each other, right? My thigh bones rotate out. And when they come in the big toe side, right, my thighs get closer towards each other and then back. So what I'm doing here in the feet is moving everything all the way up my leg, right up into my hips. Right? And your feet and your hips, they really correlate, and your knees together. Right? Often if we tighten our feet, we tighten our hips the other way around, and the knees, blah, 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 blah. We could go on about that. One more time each way. And then release. Pause there a moment. We're now going to do a stretch. So this is where we get the dome or your rolled up towel or your mat, whatever you have at hand. Or your mat might just want to roll itself up. And then from here, we're going to find the stance that we've already found, right? The weight on our heels, the balls of the feet pressing down, and then one foot to get the ball of your foot up on top of whatever it is that you're using, and your heel is on the floor and your leg is straight, right? So that foot that's on your dome, right? This leg is a straight leg, and you're trying to remain upright with your body. There's a tendency to want to pitch forward or maybe back or do something there. Straight leg. And if you're not feeling a stretch somewhere in the back of the leg, your other foot can step forward some way, right? Back a little bit, forward a little bit, until you are feeling something. This is called a calf stretch. All right. So again, we'll all be in a different position in this calf stretch. The key to this one, this particular one, is your leg is straight, the stretching leg. I want to hold it for around about a minute. And of course, I didn't look at the time when I stepped on it, so I'm going to give it, say, 15 more seconds, holding it here. I love this one because it becomes a part of gait of when you're walking around, right, helping you get maybe some more space, maybe some more movement in through the back of your leg, the lower leg. Right, it's the opposite if you're wearing heels. Now that was more than 15 seconds. I'm going to change the legs. Right, the other side. Right, again, right, start with the weight back. Step the ball of your foot onto whatever it is that you have. It could be a book. It could even be the ball, right? Your heels down on the floor. That's the stretching leg. It's straight. I'm upright. And then I'm going to step far enough forward so that I can feel a stretch in my calf, right? The back of my leg, the lower leg. And I'm still trying to keep everything else that we've already looked at. My feet are straight out in front of me. They're about hip distance apart. I'm just holding it here. I'm trying to, right, I'm finding myself leaning forward. If that's happening to you, lean more upright. Maybe another 10 seconds or so to hold it here. Oh, I'm finding myself really gripping through my quads. I'm going to try and let my kneecaps go. That's for another day, right? Okay, and then off I step. We may come back to that a little bit later. Now, one more here before the balls while we're still standing is the top of the foot stretch. So again, it's not a balance exercise. You want to start by maybe, this is, if you are really tender in your feet, this is a good one to be sitting down, right? We're going to try and just curl the toes under. See how I've got the top of my foot on the floor, my big toes curled under, and you want to start to put some weight on the top of your foot. Right, so like I said, if you're tender, you could be sitting down and you can find this kind of position here. On the mat, a little bit more contrast. Right, if this is fine, you can step your foot further back and shift your weight more onto that foot. Right, so this is counteracting what we call toe spring that you'll find built into some shoes. I keep meaning to have a shoe to give you a demonstration of. The front of the shoe tends to be lifted up a little bit, or think about it if you're wearing heels, the same sort of thing. Your foot comes down and the toes are lifted up from the rest of your foot. Right, that might be long enough on that side, right? So the toes tend to be lifted, so now we're curling them under the other way to counteract that. So again, right, this can be, if you haven't done this before, this can be super painful. So take more weight onto your standing leg, or if you're fine, shift your foot back, take more weight onto your top of your foot that way. And again, if we haven't done a lot of these, you might want to just go really gentle and just hold just for a little bit and get out of there. Maybe even have a little walk around. Okay, I'm going to get out of there, have a little wiggle of my toes. Now, we're going to do a check-in before we do the ball. So we're going to do some ball stuff, but before we do that, take a forward bend. Now, this could be like something like this. It could be down here, wherever you are, hanging here somewhere. Just do a forward bend that feels okay for your body. Right. Now, just do a bit of a body scan. How do you feel now in the backs of your legs? I feel really tight up here in my hamstrings. I feel pretty tight in my knees. The calves are not too bad. It's just on a stretch. My lower back feels a little bit tight here, but I can easily put my hands on the floor. Think about all that, file it away in your memory, and then come on up to standing. And now get to your ball or whatever it is that you have. Right, so if it's something that rolls, one foot's going to be on top of it, and you just want to sort of randomly roll around on top of it. Now, if it's something like if you only have a sock or something similar, you can just sort of do the best you can, kind of swoosh around with your foot. All right, but we're going to randomly roll on top of the ball. All right, any which way. And again, this is why I don't use a mat here, because for some reason my rug must be what it's made of. The fibers scrunch my mats up underneath my foot. But I wanted to use it because then you can see a little bit better. My foot tends to blend in to the rug. What if I did that on the towel? All right. So once we've done that, a little bit of a warm up, we're then going to step your foot onto the ball, and I'm going to shift as much of my body weight onto that ball as it feels okay for me. Right? And then I'm going to step off the ball, and then I'm going to move the ball, and I'm going to step on it again. So I am now, right, stepping off again. Whoops, I'm going to move it and step on again. I'm going to try and step onto the ball in all different parts of my foot. Right? I don't want to forget about my heel, so I'm going to step on. It might be that you just put a little weight on. You can take your whole weight onto the ball and off again. Move it, shift your weight on, shift it off somewhere else. So it doesn't matter if you do the same spot a number of times. Our aim here, what we're trying to do, is to deform the foot. And sometimes that word doesn't sound too good. I'm making a deformity. No, I already kind of alluded to it. Our hands, our fingers, we can grip, we can move them around. They can be pretty mobile. Just move your hand around and see what it can do. Right? 26 bones, 33 joints, or thereabouts, you know, give or take one or two, depending. We're not all exactly the same, right? But they were designed, your feet were designed to be as mobile as your hands. And we spend our lives walking around on these hard, flat surfaces when they were designed to walk around on different textures. So because we're not walking around on those different textures, we lose the ability to do the movements. You think about if you pop your hands in oven gloves or something, you spent your life in oven gloves doing everything. Well, you wouldn't be able to do all the fine motor movements that you can do now with your hands. All right, once we've done a bit of that, we're going to now shift it so the ball's underneath the ball of the foot. Your heel is on the floor. step onto the ball, and now you're going to try to roll from side to side. Remember when we were standing and we rolled the big toe side of our foot off the mat and down and the little toe side? It's similar to that movement, but now we're rolling on the ball. And then as I do this, I'm just making my way with the ball towards my heel. Oops, I'm moving off my mat. And again, scrunching up. I need to get something really heavy that's not going to do this. My other mat does, and I thought I'd be smart and have a different color today. Not so smart. All right. So I'm going big toe side of the foot to little toe side of the foot, and then down towards my heel and back on up again. And this can be really difficult just to find that movement at first. And over time, your body will work out how to do this. It's just about practice. And a non-scrunching mat. Okay, I've done quite a bit of that from side to side. Now I'm going to take it and roll the length of my foot. So I'm going to maneuver the ball underneath my big toe again. This time I'm lifting my heel off the mat. I'm going to roll all the way to my heel and then bring it back. And then the second toe and the third toe. Right. Each of the toes gets a roll on out to the heel. Whoops. And then a couple of extra, sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. A couple of extra rolls the length of my foot. Just randomly. And then finally, I'm going to maneuver the ball so it's underneath my big toe. I'm going to try and show you from all different angles. Sorry, it's not a huge picture unless you've got me on a really big screen. So my big toe is up, sort of underneath my big toe. My second toe is also on the ball a little bit. I'll come back to this side. So that's lifted. The aim is to try and get that movement, right, that flexion into the big toe. And then from there, I'm just going to step forward with my other foot and then back again, right? Forward, ooh, and then back again. You might want to take a real baby step forward, maybe not even step in front of the other foot if that's too much. Right. The big toe needs to be able to lift for when we're walking to get over it. It helps you with your push off. I'm going to do two more. Don't even know what 2 fingers is. Right, last one. And then off. And then I'm going to step off the ball. Both feet back down again into my original standing position. And I'm just checking out how I feel. What's the difference between your right foot and your left foot? Right, the one that you've done, you might have just done all that on your left foot. I did it all on my right foot. I feel quite a big difference, and they actually look different if I look at them even in the camera. Right, my right foot's kind of more spread out. Right, it's more maneuverable now. All right, let's do all of that on the other foot. All right, so first it was just random rolling out underneath your foot. Right, and I say this every week, we're kind of flying through these. You're only doing all this, what, 5 or 10 minutes or so. You could spend an hour, right, rolling out, just standing on the ball, maybe half an hour each foot, probably even spend an hour on each foot, being really mindful of getting your foot moving in all the different ways. Okay. Don't remember your heel. Try and get all over. A little kind of pre-warm-up moves. Okay, and then now we start to put more pressure on the ball. So stand on the ball, as much weight as feels okay for you. And then step off, move it, step somewhere else, and step off, move it a bit. I haven't mentioned that yet this week. If you find a point, kind of where I am right now, that's feeling really tender, either don't put as much weight on that part or skirt around the outsides of it. A point that feels too tender maybe to put all of your weight on it. You can control. how heavy you step on the ball or how lightly you step onto the ball. Right, remember to get your heel, work around your heel. I don't know if anyone has any of those golf practice balls. They're small balls and they're made of foam. One of my trainings, that's all we use for our feet, and you can really get them into the smaller nooks and crannies underneath your foot. They're not painful at all. They're soft. They move around underneath your foot, and your foot's able to move around over that small ball. I don't have one lying around to show you. Maybe next time. All right. I'm just trying to move around under my feet. I'm trying to get underneath my bunions here, get some things moving around there. Right, there's some bones that have moved out of place through my foot walking, standing, shoe wearing habits over the years. Okay, all right, we've done a bit of that. Then it's from side to side movement. So now my heel will be down. The ball is underneath the ball of my foot. I'm putting weight on, and now I'm rolling the inside and the outside of my foot. So I'm trying to move my foot from side to side. Rotate. Ball's going big toe side to the little toe side of the foot. And as I'm doing that, I'm pushing my foot forward so the ball will make its way towards my heel. So I'm working my way to a splits here. If that happens to you, just bring it back. Bring your foot back in, draw the ball a little bit closer. Oh, I haven't said it this week. If you have like a tennis ball on a wooden floor, this is really hard. You really need to get a mat or something. It goes shooting across the floor. This I know from personal experience tends to be a little bit hard to keep it underneath your foot. Okay, all the way here. And then let's go the length of your foot. So now you want to lift your heel, get the ball underneath your big toe, roll the length. Come on back. Your second toe, roll the length of your foot. And your third, and your fourth, and your fifth. And then let's do some extra passes. Roll the length. Two more. And then finally, we'll maneuver it underneath the big toe. So the big toe, can you see that? I'm not sure, hopefully, yeah. The big toe is over the ball and it's being pushed up. So like a thumbs up kind of position, right? And then I'm just going to try to put some weight on there, and that might be enough for you. Right? It might be that more of your toes are on the ball as well, but do the best you can. Right? I'm just going to step forward a bit and then backwards, like I'm taking a step forward, like I'm going to walk and back. I realize I'm cutting off the top of my head a bit from the camera, but I want you to be able to see my foot a bit better. So my head doesn't matter. All right, let's do two more of these and back. And the last one, and then back, and then step off the ball. Take a moment. How are your feet now? What do they feel like? Do they feel a little bit liberated, a little bit more alive? And then we're going to recheck with that forward bend. Come on back to that forward bend. How does that feel now? Can you get closer to the floor with your hands? Right, and that might be that you're here and maybe you're down there a bit more. Right, maybe what does it feel like in the backs of your legs? Often I don't feel them as much. They don't feel as tight. Same with my lower back. Actually, today my back has been most affected. I don't feel that as tight as it was before. Right, but that's me. What does it feel like in your body now after you've done that ball movement? Right, and then come on back up. And you may not have felt anything different, and that's also fine. Right, don't sort of get stuck up thinking, oh, I should have felt something. Right? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe it's affected you and you're not feeling it. Not a problem. All right. Let's go back to what we've already done, a couple of them. the heel raises, remember those? Let's now lift your heels up and then lower them down. Is it easier? Is it harder? Do you feel more balanced maybe after doing the movement with the ball? Give it a try. If you're feeling really strong in your feet, now you could do it on one foot. You could try just lifting one heel. Oops, and I really do need something to hold on to. I'm going to hold on to my window. Lift one heel and lower. You might be amazingly balanced and you can do it on the one foot and lower, right? So if you've just taken one foot off the floor, maybe even the other toes can be down, right? You're transferring all of your weight to the one leg. All right, that's one. I'm going to switch over legs. So if you're still doing it on 2 feet, keep on 2 feet. All right, lift and lower and lift. I'll do a few more of these. You can also rest if I'm doing too many. Just stop and pause for a moment. Lift and lower. And last one, lift and lower. Great. Okay, pause again. Let's get our dome or your towel or your mat, whatever it is that you have at hand, your book. Let's do that calf stretch again. I'm going to put a variation into it this time. Oops, where am I? Let's do my left foot first. So your heel's on the floor, the ball of your foot is on the dome. Your legs start straight. Now pause there. Maybe, right, this time, remember we were just stepping forward and backwards with the ball. Can you possibly do that here? Step forward and then back, right? Maybe it's just a little bit forward and then back. Maybe it's a full footstep forward. See how awkward I am when I try and step all the way forward and back. So it's now more of a moving stretch rather than a static stretch, rather than just holding it in place. And if you need to hold on to something, that's what you're going to do. Always find like a broomstick or a mop handle. I'm going to do 2 more. That can be helpful here. And last one. And just pause a moment. Find the place where you're feeling a bit of a stretch. And then for a little bit of variability, put a bit of a bend in your knees. Just a small bend. You'll know how far you can go. You still want your heel on the floor, the ball of your foot up on whatever it is that you're using, and you might find the stretch changes a little bit more. It's more of your soleus, or a little bit more, maybe higher up your calf. Might be down lower. It could be anywhere. Pause. Just notice what you're feeling right now. And release, and then we'll switch legs. The same thing on your other foot, your other leg. All right, so start with your leg straight and the ball of your foot on whatever you're using, your heel down, and then out. Step a little bit forward, step back. I think I'm even more limited on this side to how far forward I can go. You don't have to be perfect, right? Nothing has to be like, oh, I must keep my leg absolutely straight and I must step into this particular place. Do what you can. That's all we're asking you to do. A couple more of these. And that do what you can do might be that I am just going to rest this one out for a moment. Let's come on into holding for a moment in the stretch. All right, finding my straight legs first. And then I'm going to put a little bend in my knees. Again, you'll find how much bend you can put into them. I can't go much further than this. This can be quite intense. I'm still remaining upright. I'm trying not to lean forward or anything. I'm still trying to be upright with my body as I'm putting that bend into my knees. Oh, this is nice. I can feel this one right around my ankle, which is not normally the case. So here's the thing. You could do it tomorrow and feel it somewhere completely different than you're feeling it right now. Really interesting. Inner ankle. Okay. All right. Release. Gently get off that. We're going to repeat the top of the foot stretch. So this one was, remember this one, when we curled our toes under. Now, if you found that really painful, or you're sitting down, or you want to have your foot further forward, perfect. We're going to see if we can maybe move the foot around here. Now, I'm not sure you can see that too well, but when I'm facing you, you can't see my heel. Right? At the moment, my heel is hiding behind my leg. what I'm going to do is keep the toes curled under and just roll my heel to one side gently and slowly, and then over the other way. Oh, and it's going crackle, crackle, crackle. Oh, and now I'm getting a cramp, right? So if anything, right, the crackling, I don't believe is a bad thing. My understanding at the moment is it's okay, right? It's not painful. It's just the bones moving around the tissues, right? But if it's painful, back it right off or give that a miss. Maybe just hold it, right? So I'm trying to roll. I'm not sure you can see it from this angle. I'm trying to show different angles, one way and then the other, with the idea of feeling it in different tissues. Right? If we do the same stretches, the same movements, the same way over and over, we'll get some changes maybe the same way over and over. If we can find varied ways to do things, we can change and hopefully have good results in a greater area of our body. Okay, that might be enough with the one foot. Let's do that on the other foot. So again, right, it's your top of the foot stretch. Wherever it is, you can have your foot here, 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 wherever it is, as much weight as feels okay for you. And if it's all right to roll your heel to one side and then roll over to the other side. Right, my foot is still curled under and I'm rolling my heel. The top of my foot is going from side to side. Okay, so we've done these, they're just doing them a little bit differently. Adding on, if that's okay. Okay, great. Now release. Check in with your feet again. How are they feeling?
Hello. I had a question. Can we do this
Yes.
on the, sorry, yeah, this thing was saying flaky, so I got rid of the video. Let me turn it on. All right. Can we do this on the chair? And then my feet was kind of half bent. It doesn't go straight all the way back. Is that all right?
Yes, that's fine. Are you talking about this particular exercise that we're doing
The
here?
one that we just did, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. Now I
It
see.
might be here, right? It might be back here. It's
All
where
right.
you take your foot, right? Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. So now we are all going to come down to seated. So if you would prefer to sit in a chair, sit in a chair. If you're okay coming to sit on the floor, come and sit on the floor. You might need to sit on some cushions or some blocks or something of that description, something that works for you. And we're just going to get it so we can move one foot around a little bit. Now, that could be, if you're on a chair, it could be like this. It could be just your leg out in front of you. We're going to, right, whatever position works for you. Right, so if you're seated on the floor, which is my favorite position, again, find something that works for you. And we're just going to play a little bit around with the movement of the foot, just using the foot rather than the floor as a bit of a tool to stop it. Now, point your toes, just point your whole foot and try and scrunch your toes up together and then flex them and try and spread your toes apart. All right, so we're going to point and scrunch and flex and try and spread them apart. Point and scrunch, flex and spread. Do a few more of those. Point as much as you can and then flex, spread apart. I'm trying to get my little toe away from the rest of my foot. It tends to stick on in there. I'm going to do 2 more of those. Find as big a movement as I can. Last one. And flex. Now, similar but a little bit different. Point and scrunch. Keep your toes scrunched under and try to pull the top of your foot back. Then lift them up and spread. And then point, scrunch, pull back. So you're curling your toes under. I'm not sure. I'm going to move more into my mat here. I'm not sure you can see that. And then pull back and spread. And point, scrunch, and curl back and spread. Point. Oh, how do I get my foot so you can see it? Every time I move, I'm not doing any more justice to that, so you can see it. Let's see. Right. Point and scrunch and flex. So maybe that's a bit better. One more of those. And then circles. So this is a foot circle. So it's from your ankle. You're trying to circle your foot around one way. And then let's go the other way. Two and one. All right, now, can you get yourself into a position somehow so you can get your foot, grab hold of it. I'll move back on here. So if you're seated, it might be better to kind of be in this kind of position. All right, so remember before I was sitting and I had my foot over my knee. If you're on the floor, whatever you can do, we're going to try and grab our foot and just get the top of your foot. You don't have to lift your foot up. I'm just lifting it up so you can maybe see it better. Grab it with your other hand and try to rotate. So I'm sort of turning the top of my foot from side to side, in and out and in and out, and then maybe move the top of my foot. So I'm talking my toes and the front of my foot there. I'm just kind of maneuvering it in random ways. No right or wrong. It's like I'm twisting it. Sorry, the twist is probably the best word. Twist, 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 side to side. And then you can get on in there with your thumbs and give yourself a little bit of a massage underneath your feet. You can get your thumbs in there. You could get the ball again and massage it that way. Get acquainted with your feet. Get curious about them. How do they move? How do they feel? This might be difficult for you to sort of get into a position where you can do this with your hands. Therefore, you might want to repeat what we've already done with the ball, right? If you're getting frustrated now that you can't get hold of your foot, stand up and roll around a little bit, or sit down and roll a little bit more with your ball. Because I know this can be awkward. I know people that cannot do this, and that's okay. That's where you are now. Maybe with doing lots of this rolling stuff, you'll affect yourself that you're able to do it. Now, finally, love to do this. Get your foot, and again, I'm lifting my foot. You don't have to, right? My hand, my fingers are going to go underneath my foot, and I'm going to try and get my fingers all the way up to my knuckles into my toes. Now, that means that my toes have to be quite spread to get my fingers in between my toes. So an example of this, right, if this, again, doesn't work for you, this can be painful, not only for your toes, but also for your fingers. You're going to do the best you can. Toe separators. You know, if you go and have a pedicure and they put those toe separators in between your toes, you could get a pair of those. You can get them for $1 or so, I think, from your local, what do you call them? Drugstores. We call them chemists. Yeah, and just pop them in between your toes while you're doing a different get set up class, not one that you're moving with, one that you're just chatting on or watching TV or whatever. It'll give your toes some time, your foot some time to come back to that natural, more separated position. All right, once we've held that a little bit, you're going to spread your fingers out and try and pull your toes out of your fingers rather than your fingers out of your toes. And then release. Let's do the other foot. I'm running out of time. Every week I've got a list of things I want to do and I never get to do them all. All right, let's go. Point the toes, scrunch them on up, flex them, spread them apart. Point and scrunch, flex and spread. All right, point and flex and point. So flexing is pulling your toes back towards your shin. Pointing is them going away from you. Flex. Point, scrunch, flex and spread. Now let's do that. Point, scrunch. Try keep them scrunched. Try to pull the front of your foot back and then open your toes. Forward, point, scrunch, pull back and open. Yeah, I think you can see a bit better now. Point, scrunch, pull back and open. Right. What are the kind of movements that your foot can do? Do you ever do anything like this? 2 more. Last one. scrunch. Then what do we do? Circles. Circles from your ankle. Let your foot move around. You could always have your foot up in space. You can have your heel on the floor. However you can do this. 2 more this way. And then the other way. Now, I personally believe that all of these kind of exercises are going to help contribute to better balance, right? More awareness of your foot, more stimulation. You're waking up the receptors or the nerve endings in your feet that give you feedback throughout or towards your whole body to help you with things such as balance, to walk around, to become more stable and confident about being on 1 foot. You're on 1 foot when you're walking around, right? Let's get the underside of the foot if you can and give it a bit of a massage. Did I do the toe splits? I don't think I did today. All right, so we're going to get the thumbs in different places. Have a look at your feet. Get to love your feet. So many people don't like their feet. I can't tell you the number of times I've had people not wanting to take their socks off because, oh, my feet are disgusting. I'm like, oh, they're such an important part of your body. Let's love them. All right, let's move them around. Oh, that's what we did. We moved around, didn't we? We kind of manipulated the front of the foot with your hand. Again, random ways. All right, waking it up, being nice to your foot. All over the place. I'm very conscious of time right now, running out of time. All right, so let's get your fingers, if you can. Again, I'm just sort of trying to prop myself up so you can see it a little bit better. I know it's a bit difficult. My fingers, right, coming from the underside of my foot with my palm of my opposite hand, and I'm trying to get my fingers fully right up to my knuckles in between each of my toes. All right. And I'm just going to hold them there. Right, again, this would be where the toe separators come into play if this is not an option for you. Even if it is an option, it's easier not to have your hand underneath your foot. You then have your hands free. You could put them in between your toes and have them in between your toes for as long as it feels okay. And that might not be very long when you start doing it. Right, just holding. You could move around a little bit. You could squeeze your foot with your hand. You could squeeze. That might be painful for your fingers more. And then release your fingers, spread them all out. Now try to get your toes, pull your toes out of your hand. That's it. Give them another final wiggle around, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Can you move your toes independently of each other, or do they all move together? Right, that's another thing that we do standing we didn't do today. I try and just sort of throw a few different exercises in on a weekly basis. So for the interim, this class will be on at this time for the next, I don't know how many weeks. So that will be it for the movement. Let me pop. We're back on gallery view, and let's see if anyone has any questions over anything that we did or any comments that you'd like to make. Is there anything that we need to?
I just wanted to say thank you. My outer feet, one left, right feet was like really hurting. It's feeling so much better already. The stretch with the ball, I used to do other stretches, but not this one. And oh my gosh. Great. Thank you so much. I'm glad I showed up.
Thank you. All right. Excellent. That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much for that feedback. That makes my day. All right. Thank you.
I wanted to ask if any of these exercises help with swelling in your feet.
I'm sorry. I missed something about in your feet.
Yes.
No, that was part of the question, Linda. Sorry, I missed part of the question. Do you mind repeating it?
Oh, I was asking if any of the exercises for your feet help with swelling.
Help with, I don't understand that last word. Why do I not understand that last word? Sorry, Linda.
Swelling.
Swelling in your feet.
Oh, swelling.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm hearing? Flowing. It's always the accent.
I'm from the south.
No, perfect. Swelling. I am absolutely no expert on swelling at all. Is that inflammation?
Yeah.
Possibly. I couldn't give you a definitive answer with that. I think more than likely it can. The movements and that we're doing is helping to redistribute fluid and tissues and things. So
Okay.
yeah, you might need a better expert on that, but that's a very good question. I'm going to look that up for you, Linda.
Okay.
An answer.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems if it does help, distribute fluid and stuff in your body, it may help.
Mhm. Yeah,
know.
yeah, absolutely. You know, you can give it a go. And you know what? The main thing is try it, keep doing it, you know, and you might find your own benefit. If, however, it comes back and then you get more or it's painful, well, then stop. But start gently, start by doing some and go away. And if you're okay tomorrow, well, you know you can do more, right? If there's nothing
Okay.
wrong, if it feels bad, do more. So you have to be your own guinea pig, right? Because we're all different.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Linda. All right, you say yoga toes. Yes, they're great, Pam. Absolutely, they're very, very good. You can get all sorts of different brands.
Any way to kind of spread your toes? My toes do not want to spread. They're like stuck like a duck, web feet.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it didn't do anything. Like I never noticed that before.
sure. Yeah, for sure. That can be painful, and that's the toe spreaders. That's where they come into play. So the more you do that, the more you try and move your toes around, the more you maneuver like a ball and that underneath them, and go barefoot. The number one thing I could say, go barefoot. You're in summer now. It's the perfect time to walk around. If it's only around your house, do it as much as you can. That's just one way of stimulating your feet more. You're getting them stronger and you're allowing them to spread out and not be encased in those shoes. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I can get mine to spread, but I can't give them to move separately. Like one at a time.
That takes a long time, Linda.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. The moving separately can take a long, long time. Apparently you were born with that ability to move them, right? I mean, trying to work that out when I encounter a new baby, but you know, babies don't understand you when you try to say, can you move your toes like that?
Right.
It would be good to see. I'd love to see it, but no, yeah. So that's it. Do I have any other questions?
I assume that diabetically, it probably helps the nerves. Isn't that the part that the diabetes affects the nerves in the feet?
Yes, Julie, that's my understanding as well. Yes, it does. So we're wanting to wake them up again. And right, the more stimulation you can do, the more you can wake things up. So yeah, I do understand that kind of stuff is helpful. Mm-hmm.
My feet are officially diagnosed as poorly mechanically engineered.
Right. Okay. So there's something called adaptation of the body, Julie. So what we do, most of the body will adapt to what we're doing. So if we're constantly moving our feet, we're doing these exercises, the body's going to adapt to that and it's going to become stronger and more able to do those movements.
Okay.
So yeah, just keep going. Give it a go. All right. So I'm just be very, very quickly just share my slides. So this is someone who's still here. Whoops. All right. This is the most important slide. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for joining with me in class today. I have a class every day. I actually have a class in about another 7 hours or so this afternoon, my afternoon, which is like 2 a.m. in the morning for a lot of you. So that might not be appropriate. It's a simple strength class. But yeah, if you're getting something out of these classes, not just mine, any other class on Get Set Up, please share your experience with friends, with family, on your social media. If you're on social media, use the hashtag and the @ with Get Set Up after that, or email liz@getsetup.io with any wonderful stories that you might have. There's so many fitness classes online now. You're sure to find something that suits you and do them often, but enjoy them. Find ones that you like doing and you get some benefit out of, and keep coming back to them, or try some new ones all the time. All right, very quickly, I'm running out of time. This is the most important screen. Anything that you might need help with, if you want a recording, email help@getsetup.io and somebody will be there to assist you. But I am out of time right now. So thank you once again so much for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, what's left of it for you. It's a long weekend here for us today. This is actually a public holiday today. So yes, enjoy it and have a most wonderful time. And I hope to see you again soon. So take care.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right.